My next guest, Graham Motion. Thank you very much for taking time out of his busy schedule, coming to visit us, bringing the family. It's been a while. You haven't been on here in a while. How have you been?
Good. Everything's good.
Yeah?
Very good.
I mean, you're like one of my first guests on the show. It's been so long. So are you in Saratoga for most of the meet, or?
So I'm pretty much back and forwards. You know, my base is Fair Hill. We have 120 horses at Fair Hill. We have about 20 here. So I need to get home.
Do you shuttle back and forth a little bit?
Yeah, very much so. You know, once we see that they're in, we'll usually ship them up and rotate them. We rotate a lot.
Are you going to Chicago to the Arlington Million this weekend?
I am. I'm going to run Ascend back on Saturday.
So Ascend is running. So coming back in 2 weeks after the Bowling Green, he ran so well in the Manhattan to win. Was the pace just too hot in the Bowling Green and coming back in 2 weeks?
I think after the fact, Jose thought he probably laid a little too close to the pace in the Bowling Green.
I think the pace got too hot for everybody. I think almost everybody moved too soon and the race fell apart at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I had considered running him back in the Arlington Million even before the Bowling Green. I mean, I feel like, you know, they should be able to do it once, come back quickly. I've always given him plenty of time between races, but I'd very much had in mind bringing him back in the Million.
And you figure the mile and a quarter is a better distance for him than the mile and a half of the Sword Dancer in 2 weeks, I assume.
Yeah, I was worried about running him a mile and a half.
Well, I mean, he ran well enough in the Manhattan to win the Arlington Million, so if he can bounce back. And it's an odd race, the Bowling Green. I can see why I give him a shot. How much do you travel during the year with the horses? You're in Florida some as well?
Yeah, I mean, we stable in Florida. You know, we ship a lot. I mean, when we stabled at Fair Hill, we can go anywhere, so we're always on the move.
And you run horses in New York, you run horses in Maryland as well, even Delaware Park.
Yeah, we run a lot at Laurel. I mean, Laurel and Pimlico are probably still my favorite places to run. That's where I started. But we're running more and more in New York. I mean, New York is one of the few places nowadays where you can run a mile and a quarter. I mean, nobody else runs races going a mile and a quarter, and I have a lot of those kind of horses.
We're trying to run more and more distance races, higher purses for those races, and build them up. I think with the program we're doing in New York, we're trying to build something of the future. You're going to struggle at times, but I think knowing that you can have those races must make it easier for a trainer like you.
Yeah, I think it's tremendous. I mean, I think there's a real lack of those races anywhere else, and you have to run in New York in order to do that.
And you're a big participant in that. Talk about training in Fair Hill. Explain to people that don't know what Fair Hill is, how it's set up, and what kind of surfaces they have, and what it has to offer you and other trainers in general.
Yeah, so we own our barns. They're private barns. We pay condo fees. It's very much run like a condo association. It's very well maintained. We have a 7-furlong Tapeta synthetic track. We have a mile dirt track, which we actually replaced last summer at a cost of about $1 million, which was paid for by us as the barn owners. And then we have turf gallops. We have the steeplechase course, which is across the road from us, which we can use. We pay to use it, but we can work horses on there. That's where I got Animal Kingdom ready to run when he ran in the Breeders' Cup Mile on the turf. He did all his last works for that.
Should have won. He was a little unlucky.
Should have won.
Yeah, he was second.
Maybe if Irad had ridden him.
Yeah, if Irad had ridden. Who rode him that day? It wasn't Ramon, right? You couldn't get Ramon.
Raphael rode him.
Right. You couldn't get Ramon because he was going to ride little Mike in the race, right?
Yeah.
So it was like a whole thing. So do you gallop on the hills? I mean, do you use the training center to gallop on hills and sort of build the stamina of your horses?
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, I usually have a couple of sets a day that'll go out. We call it out back. We can pretty much go anywhere we like. We've got thousands of acres we can use to gallop on.
Now, when you grew up in Herringswell?
Herringswell,
which is
right.
it's in England, near Ascot. Did you work there with horses?
Yeah, it's about 6 miles outside Newmarket, which would be the equivalent of Lexington, Kentucky, probably. It's horse country. Yeah, I grew up there. I was there. I finished school in this country, but I was in England till I was 16.
And you worked overseas, right? And didn't you and your wife meet at Chantilly? Weren't you both galloping horses at Chantilly?
We met in Chantilly. Very romantic.
It's really nice. It is romantic.
We used to pass on the gallops every morning.
Who was chasing who?
It was definitely me.
Wise choice. You chose wisely. And how old were you then?
I was very young.
Young and foolish.
Young and foolish. Yeah.
Now, who were you working for at Shanti?
So I was working for an English trainer by the name of Jonathan Pease, and Anita was working for Roya Dupre, who was training all the Aga Khan's horses.
Wow.
Actually, there were only about 2 women in each racing yard. There were no women in the yard, so it was slim pickings.
It's pretty incredible she chose you. Wait a second, what? Wow.
But we used to pass every day. It was very quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of available guys in town, Graham. You might really regret that going forward. Jane's taking it pretty well, though, actually. She's shuddering in embarrassment over there. How many men were there for Anita? How many men did Anita choose you out of? 3?
I was very lucky. I mean, Anita I think she worked in the yard with Alain, and Alain's daughter was the only other person that worked in the yard. But really, there weren't very many women in racing in France.
But many more here.
A lot more here, yeah, absolutely.
So talk about Australia. You and the family took a trip to Australia. It was involved with, I think, Animal Kingdom, maybe a sale and stuff. That was about a year and a half ago. How long did you spend there?
We did. So after Animal Kingdom won the World Cup, we were invited to Australia, which was the furthest thing from my mind the night we won the World Cup, was moving on to go to Australia. So a couple of years later, they invited us back to help promote Animal Kingdom. And we all went as a family with Johnny Velasquez, and I think he's doing really well. It's really exciting.
Must have been fun going over there. Did you go to racing at all when you were there?
It was great. We went racing one day. We went to the sales. Australia is a neat place. I wish we could have seen more of the country. The area that we were in is very much like Miami, where they have the sales. But it was a great experience.
Yeah, must have been cool. I mean, I'd love to see the racing. Racing's huge over there. I mean, Melbourne Cup Day is a national holiday.
Absolutely. No, it's the most popular sport, I would imagine.
Animal Kingdom, you've talked about him, but I don't know if you've been on or not since he won the World Cup. What was it like winning the Dubai World Cup?
It was extraordinary. I mean, it's something that I don't think when you get into the sport you expect to win races like that. You hope to participate, but you never imagine you're going to win races like the Kentucky Derby and the Dubai World Cup. You see other people do it, but I certainly never imagined I would do it. And
I imagine after the World Cup, your owner did not insult anybody on national television right after the race, like the Kentucky Derby. So there's that. He was a little more afraid over there, I assume.
There were some other partners involved at that point, so spread the risk.
Right. That must have been pretty exciting, and it must be pretty cool. You've got a number of Animal Kingdom babies. How many do you have?
So we probably have about half a dozen. We had the one colt that won up here pretty nicely. So he's doing really well. I mean, it's very exciting. He had a 5-furlong winner in California last weekend in a Calbred Stakes. So I think it's very promising. He's had 6 winners in Australia. He just went back down to Australia to cover the next season.
Wow. And you've got one on Saturday or tomorrow?
We have a filly in tomorrow on the grass.
I think I picked her somewhere. Is she okay?
Uh-oh. We're in trouble then.
Well, whatever. Just another loser for me. We got to take another break. We're not letting you go, though. You're not going anywhere. Stay with us as we come right back. At the Post Live, brought to you by Special Olympics New York. Be a fan. Visit www.specialolympicsnewyork.org for more information. We come back with Graham Motion, and a rough year for you in some ways, and thank you. You lost one of your best horses of all time, Better Talk Now. That must have been kind of tough.
Yeah, I mean, we recently lost Better Talk Now. To me, he was the horse that really put me on the map. Probably Ramon and I, really. That was the first Breeders' Cup we won. And, we lost him too early. He had a pretty nasty bout of colic about a month ago, and we tried to save him, but it was just getting too difficult. So he led a great life. He had a good retirement at Fairhill. He had a great career. I mean, how many races did he run? How many races did he win? Well, I mean, he won every Group 1, I think, in New York that for his category. The Manhattan, the Sword Dancer, the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic. And he ran in the Breeders' Cup 5 years in a row. I mean, honestly, he should have won the Breeders' Cup the second time he ran at Churchill when Red Rocks beat him. I think if he wins that race, he really goes down in the history books. I won a lot of money in Red Rocks, in case it makes you feel better. Sorry. That was a tough beat.
Yeah, that was a tough beat. He did. He probably should have won that day.
But he ran the Breeders' Cup 5 years in a row. I mean, not many horses do that. He was exceptional. He was an amazing horse.
He was, I mean, remember him early in his career. He ran here as a 3-year-old, I want to say. Did he feel like it?
He did. He got beat up here.
The Saranac, maybe, or allowance race?
It might have been an allowance race, yeah. It was
Javier or Ramon. Did Javier ride him?
Javier rode him.
He butchered him, right?
He butchered him.
He did, yeah. I bet him.
I think it was...
Yeah, I remember those things.
It's a good job his owner isn't here, but it was listed as one of the worst rides of the meet. Sorry, Javier, but it was terrible.
He probably would admit. He would probably acknowledge that. Actually,
he would.
Yeah, he got caught. He caught it on side horses.
In fairness to him, he was a very difficult horse to ride, and Ramon really figured him out. Ramon really turned the horse around, I think.
Well, Ramon's riding style fit some, obviously fit a lot of horses because he had incredible success, but I think some horses more than others.
Yeah, Ramon just had this remarkable knack of getting horses to switch off, and he was a horse that really needed that. And in the Breeders' Cup, Jamie Spencer moved way too early, really set the race up for us.
Yeah. That was the Kitten's Joy one.
Don't tell me you bet on him.
Powers Court, right?
Powers Court.
No, I didn't. I don't think I bet that one. I wish I bet Better Talk Now. Yeah, that was a great Breeders' Cup.
27-1.
Yeah, he was a crazy price.
Interestingly, when I won the Breeders' Cup, shared account was 30-1, I think.
Oh, easily.
Better Talk Now was 27-1.
Have you ever won any favorites?
I guess main sequence was probably a shorter price.
Yeah, he was about 3-4 to 1. Well, he beat a very good horse.
He beat Flintshire.
Flintshire, right?
Yeah, probably. I think he was the only horse that did beat Flintshire until later in his career.
Well, talk about main sequence. I remember the first time you ran him was in the UN. I was covering those races for Fox. I mean, you'd had him for a while, and you won the United Nations. He was a big price, and that was the first time you ran him off a long layoff.
Yeah, and I give Rajiv the credit for him. He really figured him out. I mean, he was a horse you just couldn't move on until as late as possible, and Rajiv sat very chilly on him, and it was just tough for him that he didn't get to ride him after he got hurt so badly in the Breeders' Cup. We were lucky we had Johnny, but it was a tough break for Rajiv.
Yeah, no, I've been a number of tough breaks for Rajiv, but it must have been kind of cool getting reunited with Rajiv and Irish War Cry.
It was very special. It was very emotional. It was. I was so glad to be able to get him back on track in that race, and he, quite honestly, he got us back on track with Irish War Cry.
Irish War Cry is such a good horse. He must be very frustrating.
He is. I mean, look, these 3-year-old races are tough. You're committed to running at these distances that the classics are written at, and I'm not sure, honestly, that's going to be his best distance down the road. Do
you think he's a horse that maybe you think about like a Cigar Mile type race for him going forward?
I think it's very possible that's more what he wants to do. I think, right now it's important that if we win a Group 1 with him as a 3-year-old. I think we'll point for the Pennsylvania Derby, but I could see next year shortening him up.
No Travers?
I can't see doing it right now.
Have you ever run a horse in the Travers?
Never have.
It's tough. I mean, these races are really tough.
Yeah, no, I've never run a horse in the Haskell before this year. I've never run a horse in the Travers.
But you had to run the Haskell because the Haskell sisters own the horse, right? So you're sort of married to that.
Honestly, they would have been happy to run the Haskell and not the Derby. Maybe I should have done.
Well, I don't know. You ran very well in the Belmont Stakes. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you want to be in these races, but they set you up for, obviously with Animal Kingdom, great success and great joy, but also great disappointment sometimes.
Yeah, and Animal Kingdom, he ran in the Belmont. That's when he got hurt. He probably should have won the Preakness. Those horses, they're once in a lifetime. They don't come around very often.
Right. If you're not greatly disappointed in racing, it means you never had any good horses in your barn.
No, for sure. I think interestingly, I heard Arad say earlier that was a tough beat. I mean, you remember those beats. They really stick in your mind.
Graham, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming down to the Post Live, spending some time with us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I want to thank my guests for coming tonight, Robertino Diodoro. Thanks so much for taking time out and joining us. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the meet. Irad Ortiz, who's left us. We had a great time with him. And, of course, Graham Motion. Thank him as well. He's sitting a little away from his wife right now. He caused a little trouble. But I see a thaw in the relationship. We look forward to next week's show. Javier Castellano, recently inducted in the Hall of Fame, will be joining us. Feel free to share with me your ideas who my other guests can be. I'm going to come up with some others. Always looking for some help. And, of course, thanks to our great audience and everybody for coming down and joining us at the Parting Glass. Our friend Hassam is celebrating his birthday. Give him a gift on the way out. Something small. Don't worry about it. But thanks again for joining us at the Post Live. We'll return here next Thursday night at 8 o'clock.